Hello everyone, today is the third day of learning HTML basics and I think it's probably going to be the last day of learning the basics of HTML, and probably from tomorrow onwards we will be learning CSS. So without any further delay, let's head on to the day 3 of learning HTML. So first of all, let's create a new HTML file. So after that, let's quickly load the template for HTML. So we have loaded it. Now we can quickly change the title of the document. Let's name it so after that, we are going to launch some pretty interesting stuff today. So first of all, we are going to take a look at anchor tags. We actually learned about anchor tags in the day 2 of learning HTML, and we are going to learn some additional stuff about anchor tags. So what we learned is that we actually learned to assign hyperlink to certain text and take us to a specific link or specific HTML document in the previous video. But what if we want to assign a HTML link and we want to redirect that HTML link somewhere inside the page? So what I mean by that is, let me quickly show you by an example. So let's just quickly give an heading. So now let's create a div first of all. So let's just quickly see the output of it in the live server. So this is just basic stuff that we learned previously. So now let's say we want, so let me just show you. So first of all, let me quickly, so what I'm going to do is, now I'm going to add some margin after this paragraph, and I'm going to write this take me to top at the bottom of the page. So to actually push it down to the bottom of the page, we are going to add margin after this div. So let's just add some style. I'm actually starting to forget what we have learned. This is what happens when you skip a day. So what we are going to do is add some style, and it's going to be added to div. It's going to be margin at the bottom of the page. It's to be 50 em. So you might be wondering what's this new code I am writing, and you might not be familiar with it, but it's actually something that I learned while I was learning this thing, where we are actually going to create an anchor tag that actually takes us somewhere inside the window. So it's actually a code from CSS, and we will learn a whole different bunch of stuff about CSS probably tomorrow. And for this tutorial, just understand that it is adding a margin after this div, so you don't need to know anything more than that. It's just we are adding an CS style that is actually adding margins after this div of 50 em. So just for now, just know that. So after that, what we are actually going to do is assign an ID to this div. So let's assign an ID equals to, so let's say it's top, so we can name it anything. So now what we are going to do is actually assign an hyperlink to this take me to top. So what we are going to do is assign an hyperlink. So href is going to be hash, this is going to be at the middle, so we can actually remove it from here. Actually I think there has been, actually let's just, so now let's see the output. So actually you can see it is actually hyperlinked, and if we click on it, it takes us to the top of the page. So as you can see, it actually takes us to the top of the page. So actually I am skipping a lot of things here. So actually I should have written hashtag top here. It would be much easier to understand that way. So actually what you can see that I have created hyperlink in this 20th row, and as you can see it takes us to the hashtag top. So what this will do is it will take us to the specific ID. So rather than adding a link, we are adding an ID. So we have defined this ID as this div, which has got a paragraph in it. So what it will do is it will take us to this specific portion of the page whenever we click this link. So let's just quickly see it. So as you can see, it takes us to this div section, and this section is actually hidden. So this heading is hidden because we are specifically adding a link to take us to this paragraph section. So if we define this ID in this heading section, what it will do is it will take us to this top section. So let's just quickly see it. As you can see, it takes us to the top of the page. So whenever you want the hyperlink to take you to the specific part of the page, you use this href equal to hashtag, and you define the ID. You can define it anything by using any specific word or anything that you find it easier to understand. So previously you saw that I only use hashtag. So what happened when you just use hashtag in the link and you don't add any ID behind this hashtag? What will happen is that hyperlink that you created will take you to the top of the page automatically. So if you want a hyperlink and you want that hyperlink to take you to the top of the page, then what you do is just add hashtag and you don't have to define anything. But if you want that link to take you to the specific part of the page, then you can use this specific, you can create a specific ID in that specific part of the page, like we created in this div section or in this heading section, and you just add that ID as an href that is preceded by an hash symbol. So I hope you understood it. Now let's head on to the next part, and the next part that we are going to learn is how we can actually add an image to our HTML page. So let's just use this as an example. So let's just add an image after this paragraph. So what we can actually do is we can actually just type in img and it will automatically bring in the HTML template to add an image. So as you can see, we have got this src and this alt here. So src is the source where we are going to link our image from. So it's very easy. You simply have to just write in the path of the image in this src section. So we are currently opening this file named html files, and you can actually, so let's just go to this html files, and I have created this new folder that has got images in it. So as you can see, it has got one image of this beautiful dog here. So what we can actually now do is we can just add the source. It's actually named images slash, so the name of the image is doc.jpg, and if you do that, your image will be successfully added. So in the alternate section, what you do is you write the name of the image. Just in case this link doesn't work, then this alternate text will be displayed in place of this image, and this is actually very helpful to rank your web page and for search engine optimization. So let's just write doc in this alternate text, and now let's see the output. So if we see, we can see this doc here, and it's a very high resolution image, and you can see that it's not actually fitting to this web page. So what we can actually again add to this segment of code is we can actually add some, define some height. So let's say it's 600 in the height section, and width is going to be, let's say it's going to be 800. And if we now open this again with live server, you can see that the image is now actually cropped and it's fitting to our web page. So this is how we add image in our HTML document. Now let's say we want to, before going into that, let me just quickly show you different ways you can add this source link to your HTML. So let's say you just have, so first of all you can see that this images folder that we used in our link is actually located inside the folder that we are opening in VS Code, which is HTML files. So if you are not creating, so let's just move this image to back to this main folder without actually creating a soft folder. So if you are actually placing your image directly inside the main folder, then you don't have to give this soft folder name. You can actually just write doc.jpg. So let me just quickly show you what happens when you just give this. So currently it is a incorrect source. So let's just quickly show you what happens when you give the incorrect source. So as you can see, this image is now broken and you can see the alternate text being shown. So this is the use of the alternate text, and it is really helpful in terms of search engine optimization also. So moving on, so what you do is you just remove this from this link and you just write the name of the image. If your image is located inside the main folder, which is not actually a good practice, it's better to keep your images or all the assets that you are using in your HTML document in a separate folder like I did before. So just in case if that's the scenario, then you just write the name of the image and you open with, if you open with live server, you can actually see that the image is now showing. So that's how you add an image. So now let's say we want to make this image clickable and take us to a specific link. What we do is we just add an anchor tag as we have learned before, and let's add an href. So our href is going to be, we can just link it to day 2 of HTML and just close the tag and actually close the tag after this image, paste it. So now if we open this, we can see that this image now has got a different mouse selection, and we can actually click it and it will open this new HTML named day 2 of HTML, which is further has got this further sub link. So another thing that I just remembered is that it's target. So if you add after this href, if you add a new, let's say this attribute stating target equals to underscore blank, then what this attribute will do is that it will actually open your link in a new window rather than just opening the link in the same window, which can be really helpful some of the time. So next topic we are going to cover is input tags. So it's a really interesting feature. So for this, let's just create a new file. So we have created this one input. So what we have done here is, so this name is actually something that will be displayed before the input, and we have inserted this input tag. This is actually the tag that you need to remember. So we have specified this input here, and type is going to be text. So only alphanumeric values are allowed in this input. So input tag is also one of the self closing tags. So we have to close this tag after writing the tag. So make sure to always close it. It's a general practice to close all the self closing tags by this backslash. So let's actually just quickly see it in live server how this looks. So as you can see, you can now actually input various different stuff. So now let's talk about various different types of inputs that are available. So we have created this name here. So similarly we can create A's, but in terms of A's, what you have to remember is that the type is going to be number. So it's very crucial to understand that, because we don't want any alphabetical values in our text. So what we can also do is we can specify a minimum is that is allowed to fill our form. So let's just say it's 15. So if we just head on to the live server, so as you can see, we have got this name input and this age input here. So if we specify our input as number, then we automatically get this scroll button. And as you can see, this both name and age are in a single line, and we don't want that. So to separate both of them into different lines, what we actually do is add a new tag to break the line, which is BR. So now if we take a look at our output, we can see that name and age are in different lines. So now what we can actually do is create an input for email, and it's going to be input type, and type is going to be email in this case. And let's just close it. So you can see we have got and when you don't include proper email address in this section, it automatically shows this red underline, and as it shows it as an error, which is a really good feature provided by HTML. So you actually need to complete it by a proper email address. So you can use this type equals to email parameter to create forms that require entry in the format of a proper email address. Now let's see some of the ways where we can actually create input in forms of checkboxes and radio buttons. So now let's create another div. So let's say we are creating So let's say we are creating this form for different types of take items. So we want our users to click particular types of take items. So in such case we can actually input the type as checkbox, and let's just close it. And let's just name it laptop. So we can actually copy this and paste it and just change it to mouse, and similarly repeat the process. Microphone. So now if we take a look at this, you can actually see this clickable items that has been added. So we can actually add another heading. And if we see it, it actually looks good now. So in this way we can create this checkbox type of input in HTML. So now let's also see how we can create radio buttons, which is very important, and you will often need to use this feature. So let's say we want our users to specify us their genders. So what we are going to do is we are simply going to create the tag input tag, and our type in this case is going to be radio in terms of using radio buttons, and we are going to simply close it and name it mail. Similarly we are going to copy this and paste it and similarly name it female. So if we take a look at this in the live server, we can see that we get this male and female box, but here is an issue, and the issue is that both of these are clickable, and we don't want that. Whenever we click one of the radio buttons, we want other one to automatically get unclicked. So in such scenario, what we can actually do is add an attribute here. After this type, we can actually name the particular type of radio button. So let's say we want to name this two inputs as gender. So we can name it gender and actually copy and paste it here. So what we have actually done is we have simply created a group of this radio button. So we can actually add another input as well here. So let's add another one. Actually let's just simply copy and paste it and just name it unknown. So now if we open this page, you can see that we can click this button, but whenever we click something else, the previous click automatically is unclicked. So it's a really good feature that is provided in HTML. So now we are going to take a look at another type of tag, which is called select tag. So we are going to name this section select tag. So let's just so this is also a type of input tag. So let's say we want to create some sort of menu where people can actually choose the type of food that they want to eat. So now what we can actually do is we can simply add a select tag here, and we can add various different options. So let's say the first option is pizza. Similarly, copy and paste it. And the second option is Coke. And the third option, rice. So it's a very easy tag. So what you simply do is you just write the title of the, what do we call it, title of, let's say, the main theme of the form, or some sort of whatever you want to call it. Like we added gender here. Similarly, you add the main title, and after that you simply write this select, and inside the select you simply add options. So if we take a look at this in the live server, we can actually see that now we can actually select various different items. So it's a really cool way to create different types of forms. So let's say we want to create an option within this foods to eat section. So let's say we just want to add these two, pizza and Coke, inside one section, like in the junk food section, and this inside the healthy section. So if you want to group these different items, you can actually add another tag which is called group options, which is written as opt group, and you add a label, and you write anything that you want to title this group. So we have titled it junk for this pizza and Coke, and similarly we have added another similar tag with opt group, and we have labeled it as healthy. So now if we take a look at this, we can actually see that these different groupings of the options. So in this way you can create this select tag